I ran the whole gamut of experience when it came to sexy times in college.
If you thought crazy stuff only happened to me when my family was around, you'd be sorely mistaken. I've always been a magnet for crazy, especially during the school years.
Now, one thing you need to know about my college campus is that we have a couple man-made lakes, I guess, and we call them the gunk. They're all connected. And the gunk is some of the most disgusting water on the planet. It's kind of like the Hudson River, except there's just weirder shit in it. Yearly on campus, there's a community service thing that you can do, which is to try and clear out the gunk, because you go in there and you find weird shit, like old CRT monitors, thousands of them. Maybe not thousands, but there's been quite a few old like, who picks up an old monitor and throws it in the water? Like, why? Why would you do that? For a long time, during there's a picture that circulates around the winter of a picture of the gunk. Someone lobbed a CRT monitor onto the ice and it cracked and it just sat there and no one went and got it. Like, there's weird shit in there. You pull out bicycles. Oh, who throws a bicycle in the water? Like, why? Why would you do that? I don't think we've ever pulled out a car, but I know that there have been cars in the gunk at some point, because I know when my sister was at college, someone was backing out of one of the dorms and went into the water. And the weird part is, with all that shit that's in there and how unhealthy the water must be, there are animals living in the water. Like, there are turtles and shit in there. Why are you there? You know, go somewhere else. Now, there's just one quote. If you ever played Ultimate Spider-Man for the PS2 or the GameCube, I guess it was on the Xbox, I'm not sure. There's this quote where if you accidentally fall into the Hudson River, Spider-Man will get out of the water and he'll go, "I may wash, but I will never be clean." And that's kind of how the gunk is. Like, you can go into the water, but you will never be clean. And we used to play CTF, which is weird because we didn't have flags. We had Frigley's as our flag, but whatever. We used to play capture the flag out by the biggest gunk. And I remember this one time, the Laundry King went to tag someone. He was trying to get the flag. He went to tag someone. And he got it. He got the flag. He, like, wanted to stop, but couldn't because he had too much momentum built up. And he hit the edge of the water. And the weirdest fucking thing happened. He put his heels up like this to stop himself as he was about to run into the water, and he touched the top of the water. And he slid on the top of the water. He fucking hydroplaned on his shoes. And the water spraying up in the air, hitting him in the chest. Oh, come on! I just picked up the phone, didn't say anything, waited to hear your breath, and then I said, "Stop." Because I'm gonna fucking lose it one of these days. I'm just gonna fucking lose it. I'm gonna fucking lose it on someone who calls because they won't stop. Anyway, back to the story. So Laundry King, he's trying to stop, can't, has too much momentum, hits the edge of the water, puts his heels up, hydroplane, slides on top of the water like he's on a fucking invisible jet ski because he's like, oh, he's on an invisible jet ski. Goes like 10 feet into the center of the pond, and it was the weirdest. It was like a cartoon experience because he goes hydroplaning, and it finally gets to the point where the friction is too much, and he stops, and he floats there for a second, and then swoosh into the water, and we were all like, "Oh!" And he fucking crawls out of the water, and he's like, "I have to shower." And it was the funniest shit ever because he goes to shower, we're still playing. He comes back into the match, and he's trying to catch someone by the gunk again, and he trips and falls into the gunk a second time, and he's like, "Oh, come on!" Because, like, he was trying to get someone, and he tripped and slipped, and he goes, whoop, and he just fell into the water. And felt so bad for him, because then he had to go shower again. I mean, you can shower, but you'll never. speaking of the gunk, I don't know why, maybe I saw it in a movie when I was little or something, but I have always thought that the most romantic, I don't know why, maybe it's from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, maybe that's what it's from, but I think one of the most romantic things on the planet is to, like, just go out and walk on ice with someone. Like, it doesn't sound romantic, but the idea of holding someone's hand and standing on top of water, like walking on water with them, I don't know why, that just sounds so sweet and so cute, and I've never had a chance to do it, but I would love to at some point. I don't want to do I'm hoping the ice doesn't break and we end up like a horrible tragedy movie. I'm hoping it just stays like a nice, cute little rom-com. You know, I think that'd be cute, right? Now, let's get back to the not sexy times. One of the phrases that we heard that was used, you know how I've said before, people like to say things to me like, go sleep in the snow, and I hate it when you word, Scott. Well, one of the other phrases that one of our other suitemates got often after this happened was, New Palt is not your urinal, Steve! So let me back up and tell you why that phrase came up all the time. One of the things you may have surmised, because, you know, I went to college and I hung out in the dorms, is that a lot of people like to go out and drink and party. And, like, you can guess that's not really my thing, but a lot of my friends, drinking and partying was the thing for them. I don't know, it's never really done anything for me. Maybe it's because it takes a lot of alcohol to get me drunk, but also, I've noticed over the years that one thing that sets me apart from my peers is that I can't turn off protector mode. So, like, if I go out drinking, usually I'm the one who's least drunk, and my job is to keep everyone in check. So even if I have a whole bunch of alcohol, I'm still like, no, I have to make sure everyone's okay, everything's fine. And, like, that doesn't, I guess you could say that doesn't really, that makes sure that the alcohol doesn't affect me the way it affects everyone else. I don't know, it's weird. It's weird, let's be honest. Now, Steve has very much a habit, this is Round Steve we're talking about, because you know there's like 800 Steve. So Round Steve, my suitmate, he has a habit of getting super drunk and doing things that are just terrible ideas. And when he was a freshman, first drunk story I ever heard of him, he was a freshman, he lived with Rebel Monster all 4 years. So, when he was a freshman, they had bunk beds in their room because they were in a triple. And Round Steve came back so drunk that he was like, fuck! How am I supposed to get into my bed? Fuck! And he doesn't remember anything past that point of being like, fuck, how am I gonna get up there? But the next morning he woke up and he was in bed. And he was like, what the fuck? How could I be here? Which is funny because no one in that room, like, Rebel Monster's a strong dude, but him and his roommate were definitely not people to pick someone else up and throw them in the bed. Like, it wasn't gonna happen, especially not with Round Steve. So Round Steve occasionally does things that he does not remember at all when he's drunk. This particular occasion he does remember, however. Remember, the phrase is, New Palt is not your urinal, Steve! So, let's go back a bit. You remember my friend with benefits? On one of her birthday parties, maybe it was her 21st, I'm not 100% sure. Because, you know, when you're in college, nobody really waits until they're 21 to start drinking. They just start drinking whenever. So, maybe it was her 21st, I don't know, but they actually went out to drink and party and what have you. And Round Steve invited himself, because that's something Round Steve does. Round Steve invites himself when other people are doing things. Like, even if it's a date situation, and Round Steve hears you're going somewhere, he's like, I'll come too. Okay. And we've all been, like, too polite to be like, no, fuck you, Steve. So, when Round Steve's like, I'll come too, you're like, alright. I thankfully, because I was always out doing stuff, I didn't go on too many trips with my suitemates. That sounds terrible, I'm saying thankfully, but I just mean, thankfully in this situation, the one time I remember going on a trip with my suitemates, Round Steve also invited himself. So I guess it wasn't with my suitemates, but it was with some of my suitemates, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. He invited himself, and we had no room in the car, and I ended up sitting on his lap. And as you can guess from his nickname, that he's Round Steve, it was a very uncomfortable ride. And I've done some uncomfortable things with Round Steve. I once went out on a date with him to the Chinese restaurant in town because he forgot his wallet, and it was a joke. But it kind of stuck. I felt like it was a date that I had to pay for dinner for him, but whatever. Shit happened. So anyway, he went out with my friend with benefits and a couple other people for her birthday party. They went out drinking, and on the way back, he had to pee. Now, a normal person would have been like, alright, I'll pee in the bar even though it's disgusting and I'm sure everything's wet and what have you. I'll pee in the bar. No, didn't occur to him at the time. No. So they go outside. A normal person would be like, alright, I gotta pee really bad. I'll find a business. No. It doesn't. I'll go to someone's house that I know on the road. Didn't apply in this case, so no, that was out just too. Then there's, I'll pee out of sight. And when you're drunk, that doesn't occur to you. It doesn't fucking matter. So the building, out of all buildings in town, that Round Steve decides he's going to pee on, he pees on the courthouse, which is attached to the firehouse, which is attached to town hall. So there's probably some kind of authority figure in there at all hours of the day, pretty much. So he starts peeing, and I was not there. I missed out on this story, which makes me so sad. Well, I mean, I've obviously heard the story if I'm relaying it to you, but I missed out on the experience of New Paltz not being your urinal. And what had happened was, once he started peeing, there were either cops in the courthouse or cops visiting the firehouse or what have you. But there was a cop car, comes out, and was like, hey, what are you doing? Now, Round Steve, kind of slow on the uptake sometimes, you know, his catchphrase is basically, what? So, he's still peeing, doesn't stop. The cops are like, hey, what are you doing? They come over, he's like, oh, I had to go to the bathroom. And the cops put him in the car, and they make like they're gonna arrest him. They're just like, hey, why? And apparently one of the cops had been like, do you just go home and deface your property? New Paltz is not your urinal! And that's why people like to yell, New Paltz is not your urinal, Steve, at Steve, because he decided while drunk he was going to pee on the courthouse in town. You could have peed on any building you wanted and people probably wouldn't notice. But you had to pee on the government property. Like, why? Why? Even when you're drunk, that's not a thought. That would have been like, whoop! And it's not like it's a secluded building. It's the biggest thing on the street. And they have lights all over it. Like, why? Just why? Why would you choose out of everything in New Paltz? Meanwhile, New Paltz is like 80% woods. Okay? It's like 80% woods. Go pee in the woods. Like a normal human being that's super drunk, okay? Okay? You picked the courthouse. Why? Alright, so this is something I'm sure all the guys who watch these videos will agree with me with. I don't know why, but it's a thing. So this one time, my friend with benefits was like, what do you want to do sexually? Like, what's your fantasy? And I was like, death's head. And she was like, what, I don't understand. What is death's head? Desk head is when you're sitting in a chair at a desk and the girl is underneath the desk sucking your dick. I don't know why, but if you ask a guy, even if they're like, I never thought of that, like 2 minutes after the I never thought of that, they'll be like, oh my god, I want that. I don't know why, it's a thing, we want it. All dudes want it. It's just, you just want it. You don't know why, you just do. Maybe it's some weird, I don't know, it's some very strange fetish thing. My friend with benefits, so we would make jokes about it. And there's a couple photos where she's sitting under my desk, and I'm pantomiming being pleasured. Because it was a thing. Really, no one else knew that we were doing stuff at the time. So it was especially funny to us, because it's something we might do in the future, maybe. You don't know. We don't know. And it ended up not happening, because, you know, she didn't care when I was sick and what have you. You know, there's such nonsense that happened, but it never happened. And generally speaking, I have a very strange relationship with my friend with benefits, because for the most part, if she talks to me, it's usually a passive-aggressive message, and she's either upset, angry, or lonely. Like, she doesn't talk to me as a friend, I guess, anymore. It's more like someone that's like I'm more of a counselor to her, or someone to take her anger out on. Though occasionally she'll send me nice, happy messages. And a couple of years after college ended, I get a message like in the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh, what does she need help with now? And she's like, hey, it happened. And I'm like, what happened? She's like, desk head. I gave my man desk head, and I just thought you'd like to know. And I was like, I didn't actually want to know. Maybe I wanted to know. But I'm also like, why, that's just me. You know I'm not going to get no desk head. You got to tell me that you're giving some other dude desk head? But also, it proves my point. Every dude wants desk head, man. It's the thing. You want it, you don't know why, but you want it. You want it! Now, as I told you before, parties really weren't my thing. But if I got invited to one and it sounded interesting, I usually went. So, the Japanese kids on campus, they had parties if they were in the apartments. If they were on campus, they didn't really, unless they were part of another party. But the kids who lived on off-campus in apartments, they occasionally had parties. And I got invited to one time. And the Japanese party was very interesting because usually, Americans especially, like when I have a party, the host buys everything. The host gets everything ready. Other people might bring like snacks or dessert, but the host buys everything. And like that's the end of it. At a Japanese party, regardless of what the invitees do, everyone chips in at the end, and basically you pay the host for having the party. Which, in all honesty, would be excellent. As because I'm usually the host at these parties, like that, I'd be okay with that. I'm not gonna say no. People want to pay me for it, but it's just a very strange thing because they don't like ask for it. It's just assumed that you know the societal norms. Like that's at the end, everyone just throws money. And I was like, what are we doing this for? Felt like I was at church, like they were passing a donation basket around. I was like, I don't understand what's going on. And the Japanese friends were explaining it to me, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. That makes sense. Like, once you explain it, like, that actually makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense doing it this way. So I went to this party with the Japanese kids. The Japanese girl that I was really close to, and our Vietnamese friend, who I had just sort of gotten to know, were there. And when the party was, like, winding to a close, they were gonna walk home. And I went with the Japanese girl and the Vietnamese girl. We walked the Vietnamese girl home because she lives in the fucking middle of nowhere. She had described to me where she lived, and I was like, where the fuck is that? And it was like a long way away from the apartment. So I was like, I think we should walk home with you. So me, Japanese friend, and the Vietnamese friend, we go walk home. And we are walking her home. And like, you go way off the beaten path for her apartment. Well, she was renting out a room in a house. And like, it was like way off, it was off the side roads. It was like on like the quaternary fucking roads, way in the middle of nowhere. There's like trees everywhere. I'm like, this does not seem safe. She's like, I'll be fine. And then she turns to me and she goes, unless you want to come in with me. And like I was like, hold on, how dare you interrupt sexy times? Interrupted the sexy times. Oh. So Vietnamese girl, she's walking into her house and she goes, I mean, unless you want to come inside too. And at this point I'm like, what? Huh? What? Because for all intents and purposes, Vietnamese girl, to my knowledge, is a lesbian. And when she was like, you want to come inside? I was like, what? And that confused the shit out of me. That just confused the shit out of me. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, no, I'm good. Now, Japanese girl that had also walked home with us was very drunk compared to Vietnamese girl. Vietnamese girl apparently could handle her liquor pretty well. Japanese girl that hung out with us, very drunk at this point. And when I said that we were super close, I mean, like, this is a girl that I had taken home for homestays for one of the breaks. And from that point on, when I was living in White Plains, I was really close to the train station. So she would just call me every once in a while and be like, I just got off the train, are you home? Or she would even just show up at my house. And like, that is a level of closeness that I don't even have with like Grimm or Jack Bauer. Like, they would never just show up at my house. Like, to just show up at my house, that is a level of closeness that I don't have with a lot of people. Like, there's not very many people who would just show up at my house. And Laundry King is my favorite because he'll go, hey, he'll call me up. He'll go, hey, can I drop by? And I'll be like, yeah. And he'll just walk in the door and I'll be like, why do you call me when you're already here? You can just knock on the door. Like, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. You should call me before you come so you know if I'm home. Like, most of the time when he would call me, I'd be sitting at my desk and I could see his car out the window. I'd be like, just come inside. I know you're there. I know. So, we were pretty close. And for a while, I thought we were going to date, but didn't turn out that way. And she had a lot of problems with other dudes and what have you. So I was kind of her counselor as well, but on a more happy note, because she wasn't not there for me when I needed her. She was a much better friend than my friend with benefits was. So on the way back, she starts complaining about dudes in her relationship, and I realized when I have a teeny bit of alcohol in me, normal people lose their inhibitions and what have you. But what I lose is the mental blocker that I have on foreign languages. So when I lost my mental blocker, we had an entire conversation the whole way back in Japanese, and I didn't fucking miss a beat. She was saying things, and I was just getting it, and it was amazing. I was answering her and everything, and I was just like, whoa! And I remember hearing a story. One of my friends in college, one of the people from my friends with benefits team, she studied abroad in Italy for a semester. And she had to go to the hospital for some operation or something. And when they gave her the anesthetic, her foreign language inhibitor turned off. Bam! She spoke and understood 100% of everything anyone was saying to her. And she only spoke in response in Italian, and it was perfect. And I realized, wow, that actually does work. Inhibitor's off, you can understand everything. Because a lot of the time, let's face it, when you're speaking your non-native language, you're often thinking so hard for the answers, or you're grasping so hard at some word, when really it should just come to you naturally, like your first language. You just let it go. You don't really think of your first language unless you're trying to think as if you were a thesaurus, like you're trying to think of another word. Or you have lethological, where a word is on the tip of your tongue. But for the most part, your first language comes to you naturally, but when it's your foreign language, you have this thing in your head that's like, no, you have to think and you have to translate. No, you just let it go. When I have a little bit of alcohol in me, foreign language inhibitor turns off, boom, I'm good. I don't have any fucking trouble. We're walking back, and she's like, I don't want to go to the party anymore. And I'm like, well, then where do you want to go? And instead of being like a normal person, she apparently turned into a baby when she's really drunk, and she just laid down in the parking lot of a gas station at like midnight. Laid down. I was like, what are you doing? And she was super drunk and being a super big baby, and so she was just like, I'm not moving. I'm gonna stay right here because I don't want to go back. And I'm like, okay, this looks really bad. I don't know what's going on here. What am I supposed to do about this? And we start having this playful argument, and I'm like, I'm gonna drag you through this parking lot. Don't think I won't. And I grab her arm, and she starts screaming bloody murder. And I'm like, stop, stop, people are gonna think I'm raping you or something. Quit it, no, you can't do this. And that was one of the strangest yet most fun experiences of my life. Just like being sort of drunk with someone, but where both of us don't give a fuck about the rest of the world. So it became like we were in our own little microcosm in New Falls. It was just us in this environment. We could be as loud as we wanted. We didn't care. And I've never sat in the parking lot of a gas station before and just had a good time. The conditions for making this situation occur were not the best. What was going on was probably not the best, because I'm pretty sure someone else was having a party and they heard us. And I was kind of worried they were actually going to call the cops for a while, but I guess they didn't. I guess they didn't give a shit. which is a pretty New Paltzy thing, just not giving a shit. It's, most people are high and what have you. But that was a real good time, and I feel like we would have made a good couple, to be honest. But that doesn't matter because she's married now.
Hey there, guys and gals. I hope you're enjoying Season 2 of On Fairy Tales, The School Years. As always, you can click the link on the left to see the previous episode, or you can click the link on the right to see the playlist where you can see all the episodes so far. In my original plan, this was the last episode of Season 2. But it's not anymore.